You're listening to TalkBack Live at the www.talkback Live internet radio station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. We're coming to the top of the hour of a beautiful afternoon of a very beautiful Tuesday evening at 4 p.m. And today is, I believe this is the 24th. Yes, it's the 24th of September. And I'm your host, Wilson T.C., and I am very honored at this very moment to be able to say that we had so much of a great demand coming in from our last archive of the program that we had for dealing with alternative. I'm your host, Wilson T.C., and right now we're going to get right to it. But remember, you can always call in at 1-866-465-2004. What happened, I just have a problem with the recorder. I have to keep an eye on that. And so right now, I'm going to just get right to it. I'm so excited. We had an enormous response from all the way to, I had people calling me to approximately 1 o'clock in the morning, responding to the messages that we were talking about, especially about what alternative energy, solar energy and photovoltaic systems can do, and how people can be able to really think about seriously investing their money in alternative energy. And right now, I just want to get started, but would you just go ahead and introduce yourself and everything, and just so we can start it, and plus twice, especially with the website. Are you right there?
Yeah, sorry, we got some noise. Do you hear that?
Let's see.
Karsten Ginsberg. I'm the owner and president of Creative Energy Technologies here in beautiful upstate New York.
Oh, yeah.
And basically we're out there promoting clean energy and energy efficiency for communities so that we can hopefully alleviate some of our need for foreign oil supplies and oil in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that, I'm in for that. I mean, I'm all for it 100%. I'm more looking at what we can do toward economic recovery,
Yeah, well, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, a major part of it. Right now, do you see any activities right now, in regards to any changes in policies? I remember you recalled something about, was it New York or something about, they were looking at something about, I think, 20% or something like that?
Oh, no, 50%.
Say that again?
Yeah, New York State is offering 50% in the form of a rebate on any system that's tied to the grid. So that's really quite substantial. That's basically bringing the payback period for a solar electric system from 16 years down to about 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's going to really be great. That's going to be fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It could actually be shorter than 8 years, depending on what kind of increases we see in our power costs over the next 8 years. In other words, as the cost for our electricity goes up, the payback period for your solar electric system will actually be quicker and quicker.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know something, I learned something else just that as I was doing a lot of research. There's this part called peak, what do you call it, peak energy usage rate by the utility company. And if I'm thinking correctly, they can actually double, once your utilities hit a certain peak, they can double whatever it is that your utility bill cost was.
Sure. As a matter of fact, I was just on the phone with a guy out there that was telling me that during certain hours of the day, the cost for electricity is 14 cents a kilowatt hour. But then, without knowing it, anytime during the afternoon or evening hours, the price can actually go up to 24 cents a kilowatt hour.
Oh my God!
Which is just outrageous. I mean, that's leading to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 electric bills for larger homes.
Yes.
And actually, out of control electric bills for people that are on fixed income, seniors and such.
Well, you can be middle class or whatever, you're still on a fixed income, and
exactly.
And what really draws my attention is that what you're just talking about residential. How when I think about the application, how is it applicable in real time for small business people? Their utility bills can average from anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000. And then just think, if you got a $5,000 a month bill coming in, and if you happen to hit that peak period, then that means you can get a bill for $10,000.
Right.
And then I found out that even once it hits that peak period, that just one time, that determines your rate for the whole entire year.
Right, exactly.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You could be stuck with, an electric bill that's, 100% higher than it was last year.
See, and when I read that, and then I thought about the hospitals, I thought about the school systems, and we have already, I don't know what the deficits are like in New York, but it must be higher than ours.
With 9/11 and everything, yeah, we're up into the tens of billions.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, we're over $10 billion in deficit.
In California, there are $91 billion in debt. And I read some articles about the possibility of the Silicon Valley and all of that they're planning on bailing out. I'm talking about leaving the area because there's no way, even no matter who become governor of California, they still got to deal with this issue.
Oh, sure, they're already leaving, and that's primarily due to, the deregulation of the electric line.
Mm-hmm. See, and about the deregulation, what was the effects on that?
Well, it was actually quite interesting, since a lot of our sales here are done online, we deal with people from all across America.
Mm-hmm.
And what we saw was when deregulation started out in California,
mm-hmm.
we were talking to people that were out in California that were telling us that their electric bills had more than doubled within a period of about 2 months. Doubled.
Oh my God.
Some of them even tripled. And then what was interesting, over the next 6 to 8 months,
mm-hmm.
we eastward.
And you're saying you gradually saw the deregulation move across the country.
Exactly. So we started getting people from, the Midwest a few months after after California deregulated. And we started getting calls from the people in the Midwest telling us the exact same thing. Overnight, their electric rates doubled.
Oh my God.
And now it's starting out here on the East Coast.
Right now.
Right now. We've already seen a 30% increase in our electric charges.
Oh my God. And see, and I've got some people that are actually oblivious to this. They don't think it's going to happen. They're thinking it's going to be just a marginal increase of about maybe 5 or 6, 7 cents.
No, you have to look at, they're talking about repairing the national
grid. Oh, yeah.
Costing somewhere between $200 and $300 billion.
Right?
Who's going to pay for that? Consumers are going to pay for that in regards to higher electric bills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you mentioned that, you brought out another interesting point too last time, and you were saying that the gasoline cost is subsidized.
Oh yeah, oil the barrels of oil are actually subsidized, which brings us, if oil was not subsidized by the U.S. government,
mm-hmm.
our gasoline prices would be up around $5 or $6 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is, do you think that if our gasoline prices were $5 or $6 a gallon, do you think everybody would be out there buying SUVs?
Oh no!
These gas guzzling vehicles.
Oh no!
I think.
And it seems like there's more for every time I look.
I think the American public would be out there yelling at the government, get us more energy-efficient cars.
Mm-hmm.
And
and there's more. I see so many of them out there. I mean, it's just unbelievable. We forgot what we went through in the 70s, and in the late 70s. It's like I remember where gas was like you had to every odd number on if you had an odd number on your license plate, that was the week you came in.
Sure. And you remember those long lines.
Oh, yeah.
And the incredibly inflated prices of gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
That's right around the corner. That's going to happen again.
I believe you. I believe you.
And, again, instead, unfortunately, part of the problem is the government, the media, and the automobile manufacturers
mm-hmm.
are basically pushing on us what they believe we want
mm-hmm.
in regards to larger vehicles that
mm-hmm.
use more gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if we were paying $5 or $6 a gallon, we wouldn't be buying those cars. We wouldn't be making jokes about electric and hybrid cars.
Oh my God! And for some reason, like you remember I gave that description of this is like this process is like the society back in the cowboy days, how they were in love with their horses and their horse buggies.
Right.
And all of a sudden, that big day came, and they met the first Model T Ford, and a lot of them just started laughing. Even the horses didn't even know what was going on, and they didn't know they were going to get put out to pasture there.
Right.
And but right now we are just I ran across some information on this brochure. I think the name of it is called NREL.
Oh yeah.
You heard of them? Yeah, and they gave me some information. They sent me a lot of information so I could use the pamphlets and brochures to get the information out. And in that report, they talked about how Chicago, during the blackout, they lost something like a tune of $20 trillion in stock exchange during the time of the blackout of Chicago. And this is not too long ago. This is like, what, 2 or 3 months ago, 2 or 3 years ago, something like that?
Exactly.
See, and then guess what? Here in Alton, we just had, right, matter of fact, this is www.Talk Black Live internet radio station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. Matter of fact, we're broadcasting live from Alton, St. Louis, and in addition to that, we had a blackout Sunday at the mall. And at the mall area where people shop at,
sure.
And it happened Sunday, and everybody had to be sent home, and they still couldn't figure out where the problem came from. But it could have, they were looking at transformers and stuff like that. Somebody said they might have seen a transformer arc or something like that. But other than that, people, just think how much did they lose in business on that day?
Oh yeah, that's going to happen more and more get into the near future.
Mm-hmm. The demand, just think about the system, how many thousands and thousands of computers could be in just one skyscraper?
Exactly.
Right.
So what we need to look at is that, there are lots of ways that we can easily and fairly inexpensively reduce our energy consumption. Mm-hmm. For example, there was down in Westchester County in New York, they were going to build a new power plant because Westchester was using about 25% more energy than the grid was originally designed for. Mm-hmm. Of course, the communities in Westchester were very upset about the plans of this new power producing facility because of all of the mercury poisoning and everything else that goes along with producing power.
Oh my God!
Through conventional means of oil, coal.
Mm-hmm. Because mercury also contaminates the environment and is found in fish and everything like that.
Exactly.
The ecosystem.
It's becoming actually one of our most dangerous environmental problems today. Mm-hmm. Is mercury being exhausted into the air. Mm-hmm. So Westchester was using 25% more power than their than the grid was designed for. So what Westchester did was they got together and they got speakers to speak at the different libraries in the county and colleges and universities and things. Mm-hmm. And basically what we were doing is we were pushing usage of energy efficient appliances and lighting. For example, let's look at compact fluorescent light bulbs. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I did a energy show down in Westchester County 2 weekends ago, mm-hmm. and there was a big pavilion that we were in. And what I noticed was it was during the day, and I looked up at the ceiling, and there were nothing but 60 fluorescent light bulbs all over the place. I actually counted 40 bulbs in just one small pavilion. Mm-hmm. Those 40 bulbs that were on all day at 60 watts each were using a total of 2,440 watts every hour.
Oh my God.
Right? If we simply went and replaced those bulbs with 15-watt compact fluorescents, do you know that the energy consumption would drop to 600 watts?
Oh my God. That means that it would be a lifesaver, not only just to just look at, and I think those light bulbs last longer life shelf. They have a longer shelf life too.
I've got compact fluorescents in my house that are 13 years old.
Oh. my
You know, so they've already paid for themselves just in replacement costs.
Mhm.
You know, because you got to replace incandescent bulbs like at least once every few months.
Mhm.
You know, they constantly burn out. While compact fluorescents should last in excess of 10 years, fixed exactly, while using 80% less energy.
And the light also provides even brighter light as well, isn't
It's
it?
brighter. It's a higher quality light. You know, it doesn't produce the heat. So out in California and other hot places, you know, it's not generating heat, which is leading to higher cooling costs.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I see.
You know, a bunch of incandescent light bulbs in a fairly large office building, and you know, you could be producing somewhere over 100,000 BTUs in heat just from those light bulbs.
Oh my God.
Which then the air conditioners have to kick into, you know, full blast.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, air conditioners use a terrible amounts of energy.
Right. But they have I've heard that there's supposed to be something new coming out in the market very soon about air conditioners, but they're not going to be made of Freon. Is that true? Do you know anything about that?
Well, there's actually a few different technologies right now. One of the technology cooling that's taking off quite quickly is geothermal. In a geothermal system, what we do is we actually drill deep holes into the ground, similar to well holes or bore holes.
Mm-hmm.
We drop a line, a flexible line into these holes.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is we find that once you get down, you know, 75 feet or more underground, you'll find that the temperature all year round consistently is between 47 and 54 degrees.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. Now that has a couple of advantages, okay?
Okay.
For cooling, what we do is we simply run lines down into these boreholes as a heat exchanger.
Mm-hmm.
So we take the heat from inside the building, exhaust it into the ground, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the environmentally friendly coolant that's running through this line is brought up into the building, put through heat exchanger. Air is then blown through the ducts of the building in the form of air conditioning. And all this can be done with a very small compressor, about the same size as a refrigerator compressor, which is just amazing. You know, the difference between geothermal cooling and your typical AC cooling unit is, you know, we're looking at 150% less energy. For geothermal.
No, excuse me. You got me. See now, I'm kind of slow here. You're going to have to repeat that again. Did I hear you just say 150%?
Yes.
More cooling?
Well, no, 150% less in the energy.
And less energy.
The same space.
Oh my God! So that means it'll be totally. I mean, it'll pay for itself in what? About 2-3 years?
Exactly. The geothermal systems usually have a 2 to 3 year payoff period. But the wonderful thing is let's say when it gets cold, you simply reverse the process. All right. Let's say here in the Northeast where temperatures get down into you know, the single digits and below zero. All right. No matter what time in the winter or how cold it is here in the wintertime, it's always 55 degrees underground. All right? So, look at it this way. It's 0 degrees outside. It's 55 degrees underground. So what we do is we bring up that 55-degree temperature from underground, put it through a small compressor, which raises the temperature up about
20 degrees?
Oh, higher than that, actually.
Really?
Raise it up about 60 degrees. All right? We end up with a temperature somewhere around 120 degrees.
Oh, my God.
And then that's perfect for use in things like hydronic in-floor heating systems. All right? Because you don't need the excessive high temperatures that you do from radiator systems.
Yes.
A typical radiator system takes water temperatures of about 180 to 190 degrees. And in-floor heating only requires temperatures of about 120 degrees. So again, not only are you using less energy because you only have to raise the water temperature up to 120 degrees, but you also have the advantage that you're starting off with 55 degrees from underground. So you only have to add 65, 70 degrees to that to bring it up to enough BTUs to actually heat a building.
Could you use the heat for hot water or something like that? Or?
Sure.
Oh my God! So you have so the first thing is that, I'm sorry, I apologize to the listening audience. Matter of fact, I got to quickly say that you're listening to www.talkblack Live, internet radio station, the radio station that has your voice in mind. You are welcome to call in at any time, and it is at our number here is nationwide. It's 1-866-465-2004. But I apologize to listening audience because we need to get let's get ready to, can you direct the people to your website?
Sure, yeah. Our website is located at www.cetsolar.com or cetsolar.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll find that the website is loaded with information
on
how consumers and business owners can lower their energy consumption and also participate in energy production through solar and wind power systems.
And if they have any questions, they're more than welcome to call my number at 1-866-465-2004, but also give them your number as well.
Sure, it's 518-287-1428.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the great things about technology now, I'll give you a good example. My son is in another country, and it came to a great point when his mother was here, and just to think that they were able to communicate while he was on the other side of the world, and here she was here to be able to communicate live. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know, through the art of the internet. So you know, here the world is smaller. So it doesn't matter, you know, New York, Chicago, California, New York, Mexico, anywhere in the world. Matter of fact, we're not just only limiting this conversation to just you within the United States. We're willing to come to other countries to help you set up and get things going with it. We do international things as well.
Sure. As a matter of fact, it's the new international market through third world countries that's becoming more important. These third world countries and their steps towards their own industrialism, that they follow a sustainable path.
You were surprised,
unlike us here in the U.S., which we're still now paying for our.
That's going back some years ago. He was still in the military.
Oh my God! So you're saying, and so otherwise there is an advantage to them than it is this way.
Because they can learn from our mistakes.
Right.
So we didn't follow a path of sustainability. You know, we were all based on consumability. You know, we were basically becoming a
very careful what you're doing now.
While third world countries, which ironically enough, most of them are followed along the equator, which is where all of our rainforests are located. Without the rainforests, we wouldn't have any oxygen.
Right.
So the scary thing is that, you know, these third world countries are moving into industrialism, maybe not following a sustainable
system.
And what's going to happen is, you know, the trees are going to start being cut down more and more. The pollution is going to start killing off the rainforest. And once that happens, well, then we're just kind of out of luck.
Like Arnina and the ozone.
You know, if the industrialized third world nations, you know, follow the same path as we did, there will be a major destruction of all of the rainforest along the equator, and that will leave us, like I said, with no oxygen and no way to filter our atmosphere.
You know,
which means the death of the planet.
You see, this is why, Carmen, it's so important that you can't take lightly this type of information. It is almost prophetic in the way that you're describing it.
Well,
and the thing is that, matter of fact, if you have any questions, when you hear this, please, you can welcome to call in anytime at 1-866-465-2004. Again, you can call in at 1-866-465-2004. We're gonna make mention too that you know, when you start mentioning about the rainforest and all these kind of things, right now we need to even quickly address that issue with a sustainable system.
Exactly. You know, unfortunately, our president right now, you know, he just went ahead and basically made it okay to build new power plants with no environmental considerations whatsoever, which is not the best example to set for the industrialized third world nations.
Right.
You know, I mean, if we can do it, they can do it too. we need to set an example, and since our government isn't really doing it, I think it's important for the people to get out there and to promote the technology and just make people aware that this is crucial. We have to set these countries up in a sustainable manner, or we won't have a future.
Okay, so you know what I was thinking about when you made that statement there. You know, the whole issue is that when you talk about a sustainable policy, we need to really call upon the legislators. We need what we're trying to say is that we need a national movement to be developed to look at this thing in realistic sense.
Exactly.
I've got here, believe it or not, I have here something that's very unique. I don't know if you get a chance to read this. It's from the National Energy Policy. This was released by the president in 2001.
Yeah, which is another disaster.
Yeah. And but in there, it outlined all the things that was going to affect this whole area. You see what I'm trying to say? And that was called the National Energy Policy. And everything in it, it basically predicted that there was going to be a massive, it was going to have Northeast was going to have a blackout, a major blackout. It had everything in living. That means that, can you imagine that you don't have any water because the pumps don't pump the water to your house? Or
the filtering systems are down and the water's completely contaminated.
Oh, no. Excuse me, I just lost this again on the tape recorder. I'm back on it again because I get caught up in the thought. because what we were talking about, let me recover that. I think we were talking about the water and contamination of the water. That's what you were mentioning.
Exactly, because when there's no power to treat the water for the municipal water supply.
Mm-hmm.
So the water passes through untreated, and it's just loaded with bacteria
mm-hmm.
and all sorts of other pesticides, herbicides, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And then when I think about that, then you have the health system. That's when we say that when we're talking about our way of living, our standard way of living is threatened by the fact that we don't implement this technology.
Right.
You see, and then when we look at that, you're talking about the atomic energy. Here we have what you've got the new technology out there too. That's called hydrogen fuel cells.
Yeah.
See, that is something else. Now, I understand that they've been put some money together for some research, okay, and they're tying things to that point, and that's going to be some new approaches down the road dealing with hydrogen cars and things like that.
Oh, yeah, well, are you aware that Oregon, I believe, it's either Oregon or Washington, all of their public transportation buses are fuel cell buses.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I was watching an interview with one of the owners of or one of the managers of the fuel cell transportation, and I believe it was Oregon. And the wonderful thing is that they were standing in back of the bus at the exhaust tailpipe, and he plainly said that, these buses are producing 0% pollution, absolutely no pollution whatsoever. The only byproduct is water. And, of course, there was water dripping out of the exhaust pipe.
Mm-hmm.
He put a glass under the exhaust
and
pipe, filled it up, and drank it. Because it was perfectly safe.
Right. See,
so we already have buses that are running on hydrogen fuel cell generators. I noticed the other day that there's a company that just started to sell small portable hydrogen fuel cell generators for backup generators for homes and businesses.
Oh, and you know what's the name of that company?
I'm not sure.
I'll tell you what you do. When we get off the line, you can talk to me about that.
Well, what's interesting is it's a great technology, and the fact that there is a generator on the market right now is very, very exciting. However, it's not quite there yet because these fuel cell generators take small canisters of hydrogen to run them, and $100 canister of hydrogen is only enough for about 3 hours of electricity.
Okay.
So while the technology is wonderful, it's not quite to the point where society as a whole can benefit from it.
Yeah, maybe in 10 years or so.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Not only that, but we're also finding that solar panels and wind generators can be used to produce hydrogen gas.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's quite fascinating because.
Say that again.
Well, all right, we can hydrogen is produced all you need to produce hydrogen basically is water and electrodes.
Right. And it separates the oxygen from the hydrogen from the oxygen.
Exactly, and then the hydrogen goes into a pressurized tank.
Because the hydrogen has electrical charge.
Right, exactly. So what we're finding is that to produce enough electricity for your average home using solar panels would take approximately 5,500 watts worth of solar panels, which is relatively expensive. Okay?
Right.
What we're finding is we can use half that amount of solar panels to produce hydrogen, and then that hydrogen would then go to an on-demand type of the appliances in their home and business.
So there's still, and now what you're talking about is a process called cogeneration process.
Exactly, where it takes 50% less in energy production through solar or wind power to produce the same amount of energy needed for a home or business.
Well, right now, I think that this is, for the listening audience, we're letting them know that there is some hope, because I want you to know right now that you're hearing this from here. I'm your host, Wisdom to See, and we have our guest with us, and you're hearing it live here at www.talkblacklive Radio, that I want you to know. You're going to be coming back and remember this conversation. You're going to be wanting to call us at 1-866-465-2004. Again, because I know that some people don't believe that this is going to be, that this is a serious matter that we're talking about. Because, see, they're not in New York, you see. They didn't get affected by what was happening. They were not able to get home. They had the luxury of being at home and watching 50 million people be affected.
Exactly.
You see, and so they wasn't affected by that.
Right.
But what is what you have to say to these people that have not been affected by that?
Just wait. It's going to happen. I mean, between, like I said, it's going to take $200 to $300 billion to fix this decrepit grid system that we have. All right? When they finally decide to start repairing the grid, it's going to lead to extended blackouts and brownout periods across the entire country. And as a result, the consumers, the people, the people of the United States are going to have to pay this $200 to $300 billion to fix the grid. And that payment will be in the form of much, much higher electrical rates over the next 5 years.
See, you're talking about that. You're talking about something that can be doubled or quadrupled and easily. And when you look at your existing bill, if you had a high bill just last year and you saw it and it was $400, $500, or $700, and just think you're going to be looking at $1,500 down the road.
Exactly.
And that can make a break a person, because, as we said before, a lot of people were secure with their jobs. Where they worked in this big, tall structure of a skyscraper, and they felt secure in this big building, and then they were secure because they had their jobs. But then you had the homeless that the mayor was locking up over there, and up in New York. And then now, all of a sudden, when the blackout hit, they were out of home. They couldn't even get in their place. They couldn't open up the doors.
They couldn't even get a room in a motel.
Right.
Because all the motels didn't have any electricity.
Right.
They couldn't actually operate the lock on the hotel rooms. So there was no way to get in or out.
And then it was more cooler outside, and even though it was 90 degrees outside, it was cooler outside than it was inside the building.
Exactly.
Because no ventilation and nothing.
Right.
And then people had to learn for the first time to sleep outside.
So you saw the photographs of people sleeping in Grand Central Station and out on the street.
On the sidewalk and everything. You couldn't make no difference who was homeless at that time.
Exactly. They were all homeless.
But then, and the reason why we're being descriptive and point here is that we want you to understand that though you're in the Midwest or wherever you are at and you have not been affected by these type of things, I want you to know that right now we still got millions of people without electricity now.
Yeah, well, while the people out west may not have been affected by power failures, it's the people out west that are seeing skyrocketing electrical costs. Down over the next 10 years.
Oh, no.
It's going to keep going up.
Well, I've been talking to the business community, and they are becoming very concerned. They're not taking lightly what I'm saying. But, the average person, they're not thinking about it. But when you think about it, when I talk to them, they're saying that That's the bottom line, because when you look at it, 20% of their budget is toward electricity and next to salary and rate and wages.
Right.
You see, and so they're really concerned because when you get an increase like that, that could contribute to laying off some people.
Absolutely, and closing down factories.
Right.
And moving more and more factories out of the country.
Well, see, and that's what's happening now, because Ross Perot is already talking about leaving, and he was the first to alarm the people about the big sucking sound of NAFTA.
Right.
And now he's the first one now in 2003 talking about moving some of his industry base into India.
Well, look at all the people that look at all the people in the U.S. They're saying that what is it? I read in Times the other day that 2% of the people in the United States are leaving on a daily basis to live in Canada.
Already. Okay.
It's a mass movement towards Canada.
Okay. And so right now you're looking at the pharmaceutical industry. There was a matter of fact, there was a congressman, a state representative, stood up, not state, but a U.S. congressman stood up and said, hey, in my state, or the mayor, I think, of the city, said, we're going to go ahead and get our stuff from Canada, and then you all from the FTC just going to have to talk to us, because we're going to still try to get this medicine to our people who need it real bad.
Oh, yeah, and in the meantime, the U.S. government is saying things like, well, it might not be safe.
Right.
But do you really think that the Canadian government is going to distribute drugs to their people that aren't safe?
Right.
I don't think so.
Do you know that because right now, some of this could help lead toward malpractice in a way that the people can't afford the pharmaceutical medication to be able to help themselves.
Exactly.
And in this area, they got increases in malpractice insurance that the doctors are leaving the area here now.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so high.
Yeah, a lot of doctors are actually getting out of the profession because they can't afford to run their businesses because of the malpractice insurance.
See, and then, so right now I'm talking to the doctors, and I'm telling them, look, the guy just got to talk to me not too long ago, told me that their bills are running over $5,000 a month. And I said, do you know that it's going to double? They said, oh, we know, we just got one in here. and so they said, well, what can we do? What can we do to cut this out? What can we do to do this and do that? And then there's going to be a shortage of doctors already hitting this area.
Right.
So we've got some serious things here, but we know that right now that we have here at www.Talk Black Live on the Joseph Vision Worldwide and through our guests at Creative Energy Technologies, we already have proven technology that can be implemented within the infrastructure throughout America and throughout the world. And that we can begin to show you a direct line in your investment in savings. You know, if you played the stock markets, and if you have been playing the stock markets for quite a time, and you may have lost quite a bit of money, which we might know about, and if you still got a little money left over, maybe you may want to consider taking $5,000 out of your savings or $10,000 out of your savings and invest it into your home, or take $20,000, $30,000 and invest it into your business so that you can be able to become energy free.
Exactly, and this is an investment that is absolutely 100% guaranteed to pay off.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how many other investments are out there where you have an absolute guarantee that within a certain amount of years?
Well, you know, you brought up a very good, interesting statement there that I would like to echo again. When you mentioned that when they began to start taking that when they raised this $100 million or $200 billion, I'm talking about, that they're going to start when they start trying to put in the new infrastructure, they're going to have to shut down some lines.
Right.
That's what's going to start causing the rollover or the effects of the blackouts throughout the area, throughout the country. And these corporations and companies know about it because right now I've got something sitting in front of me showing that Microsoft Systems lost something like 17 point something million dollars per hour.
Oh, yeah.
You have many sectors throughout the different manufacturing, service industry, like, for example, credit card transactions losing millions of dollars per hour.
Oh, yeah.
Transactions for airline losing hundreds of thousands of dollars per hour.
Which is something that
Say that again?
Our economy cannot handle these major losses due to power failure.
No.
We already are in a recession.
Right.
What's going to happen if we keep on experiencing these power failures and constantly lose billions of dollars in our economy? it's just going to get worse and worse.
And there is no doubt about it. And you know, one thing that really comes to mind is that when you have people, all these things have a domino effect on the infrastructure of America. And when you think about your health and you look at all of these things, these have a great effect on it. If a person has to pay 3 times that if they're in business, and especially in the healthcare services and stuff, and their utility bills come in at, they were paying $10,000 and the bill come in at $30,000 or $40,000. And then the bill's going to stay high for all throughout that year. And then they got already double compounded on top of that their liability insurance. You know what I'm talking about. And then here it is. Then they're going to have to lay off people.
That in the future, we know that we're going to experience grid problems, and we know that our electric costs are going to skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that we can do to protect ourselves is make that investment into our homes and businesses, to produce our own power, to install backup solar electric power systems for our businesses so that when the power does go out, we can continue to stay in business so that we don't have to experience these huge losses. Nobody out there is going to help us. We have to take things into our own hands.
Well, I've heard so much about the $85 billion, $87 billion that's going to be needed to build in the infrastructure of Iraq. And because there's debt that is owe to Saudi Arabia,
right.
You know, Iraq owe debt to Kuwait, you know.
And what is this all based on?
Yeah, yeah.
We're killing people for oil. We're torturing people for oil. We're going to war and spending billions of dollars for oil. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems, to me, it just seems incredibly self-destructive and greedy.
You know, to jumpstart this whole thing, we have something here that we would like to the people that listen to this, the listening audience, to listen to this, to contact your congressman and contact the president, contact your state representative, your senate, your senators, and demand that they begin to create an appropriation bill that is going to really bring about a substantive thing about jobs. The most I hear about people talking about infrastructure for roads, to do road jobs, that's not a high-tech job.
No.
You need jobs like 1 million solar roofs across America, where people can come into these high-tech fields and learn to really unique jobs that's going to address the future for the next 20, 30 years.
Exactly. I mean, renewable energy is, it's not only an answer for our own energy problems, but it also solves the problem of, or it also helps solve the problem of unemployment.
Yes.
And a loss of jobs.
Yes.
Because like you said, I mean, a renewable industry will require millions of new positions, job positions. From installing to regulating to
monitoring,
designing and promoting and marketing. It's just amazing. I mean, we can create one of the fastest growing, largest job fields in the world.
Well, you know, when you mentioned that, that's why come the world is very much aware of what we're saying, because, you know, it's really, when you just think that once we can change the infrastructure economically through the advancements of the alternative energy technologies, it places us in a very strong competitive position, and we can become the leaders of the world in regards to that.
Because that technology is actually ours.
Yeah.
Things might be, manufacturing might be going out to China and India and places like that, but the technology is ours.
Well, guess what? Before you go any further, that reminded me when I was in school in engineering, electronic engineering, and they were telling me about the transistor. Now, we know the transistor was started by, what's the guy who discovered or created the creator of the transistor? Can't think of his name now, but Buckley. Yeah, he was the one who did that.
A U.S. citizen.
Yeah, and now check this out. But yet, with the small transistors he came up with, that replacing the vacuum tubes and the anodes and cathodes and stuff like that. What happened was that they turned around and then look at what Japan did. Start coming out with the smallest little hand radios, technology that was discovered here. You see, and so, you know, I think that right now that the 50 million people in America, throughout New York and those who were affected by that blackout. You know, I think that they provide the voice. Those who are not affected, should begin to start providing the voice to speak for those who have not yet been reached or been touched by this type of experience.
Right.
And I think that at this very point in time, that the 50 million people should give us a call at 1-866. Well, give us a call. We got the solution that.
I hope you have a lot of phone lines.
Yeah. well, you know, the thing is that give your congressmen and your senators a call.
Oh yeah, let me tell you. Let me give everybody a website address. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a website out there that has all of the financial, federal and state renewable energy systems.
Mm-hmm.
The website is www.dsire.com. All right.
Say that again.
www.dsire.com.
Mm-hmm.
This website has all of the federal and state financial incentives available for renewable energy systems.
Yes.
What's important is that people from every state go to this website and find out what's available in their state, because there's really only a handful of states that are offering these rebates and tax credits.
Mm-hmm.
All right? If you go on the website, let's say you live in Indiana, you go on this website and find out that Indiana has absolutely no financial incentive.
Mm-hmm.
The information will be on that website as far as who to contact
Mm-hmm.
to promote and to try to push the government into setting up rebate programs and tax credits for renewable energy. The most important things we can do.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in a state that offers nothing, contact your congrensman, go to the website, find out who to write to or who to email to, and let them know it's important to instate some sort of renewable energy grant program.
Mm-hmm. See, you know, this is why I come right now. When you're talking about the renewable programs and stuff like that, we need to begin to, like you say, do those things now. And when you identify those grants really help in your process. You also have financing and rebates that you remember for companies and businesses, corporations. They have rebates that are excellent. You know, programs that you can get immediate upfront deductions in your taxation.
Exactly.
Well, you know, I tell you, we could be able here to talk forever here, and I could take this conversation and go further and further. I don't know how much time you have, because I know you've been busy working all day already. It's late there, probably about 7 o'clock there. Isn't it 6 o'clock? Okay, so here's our time now, so we're about 10 minutes to 5 right now. And but you know, I'm just putting a little music to it as we try to wind down just a little bit. And but I'm going to say again, we must have you come back. But I want to make it again. I want people to understand this. You know, one thing when we talk about the quality of living, you know, that means that you don't have to continue paying these big oil barons this kind of money anymore. You see what I'm saying? But like when you had the California situation with Enron, Enron was the one that had contributed into a lot of this thing with dealing with the deficit in regards to also the deregulation.
Exactly.
See, and now we have people in the state of Illinois who feel like, oh no, deregulation is not going to do that. If there's going to be anything, maybe 7-8%. Well, what do you think about? Could you just tell me what I could say to these people, man? Do you have anything you can say regarding deregulation?
Fight it as much. It will definitely lead to higher electrical costs and much poorer customer service for the electric lines. What's happening is we're ending up with less and less service techs, less service workers to go out and trim the trees away from the lines.
Yes.
So when the storms happen,
Mm-hmm.
the trees will fall down and hit the lines,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all a result of deregulation.
You know, and they got this new thing now, and I talked to some of the people that work for these companies, for these utility companies. These guys are really wishing that we get out there. I mean, they're so for it, and they work for the utility companies. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
If they could, I was going to try to get a couple of them online, which I'm planning on doing, but they're trying to, you know, I'm going to do it a certain way. And because they want to say some things, too, that really shock the heck out of the people, because the way that they're using skeleton crews to address certain issues.
Right.
And now what they're doing, like with the technology now, they can tie in a satellite, and then what they do is put a repeater or transmitter or something on top of the meter. So a lot of people, they don't have gas people meters to come by and look at your meter or anything like that.
Right.
What they do now is they just transmit it by satellite what you're using. You don't have no way to check or be able to know what they're talking about on that.
Exactly. Although, you know what? Your meter still does give you a readout of how many kilowatt hours you've used.
Uh-huh.
And if there's if you ever have any doubt, it is your right to read the meter yourself and call in the figure to the electric company.
Oh.
And if you find out that their figure was higher than yours, you better believe they have to credit your account.
Right. Well, see, these are some of the good points that we need to be able to outline because they're not going to hear it anywhere else. And you're not going to hear it on CBS. If you do, you're not going to get that much time. But we're spending, and plus we're not only well-researched and documented, so we're backing it up because we're consultants, and as well as not only consultants, but the gentleman that you're listening to is the president of Creative Energy Technologies. And could you let them know if they're interested, and we want to welcome them to the sites. There are some other applications in addition to that. If you can't afford the $5,000 right now or whatever to get started.
Get a few compact fluorescent light bulbs.
Right. And
everybody can afford that.
We can purchase that right offline.
Oh yeah, do you realize that if every American household were to replace just 4 light bulbs with compact fluorescent, we'd be able to shut down half of all of the nuclear plants across the country?
Oh my God. In half.
Just by replacing 4 light bulbs.
In that report that I was mentioning to you, since you mentioned that, in that report by the National Energy Policy in that report it says that you're going to need somewhere about almost close to 1,800 new power plants to meet the demand that is coming based upon the accelerated growth rate of the economy. So, in other words, the growth rate of the economy is moving at over 127%, versus the utility plants moving at around about 22-23%.
Right.
So now, and it will take, with the best of our human resources, is to put together maybe 60, if we're at the best, 60 power plants a year throughout the country. So divide 60 into 1,800.
What's that, 300?
How many years is that? So now we've got a lot to look at. So what we're saying is that we believe in the mission of 1 million solar roofs across America. And in that mission, it will create jobs, and very technological jobs that will address the future. It will create jobs in the educational sector, because right now, if you go and say, hey, I want to go to that school, there is none.
Right.
There is no school for you to go to.
Right.
So what we're saying is that there's a whole new technological industrial base, and this technology, this innovation of technology, is going to bring about a new culture. You know, and I mentioned to you about that book. I don't know if you got that book yet, about Bill Gates.
Oh, yes, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, tell me what did you think about it?
Oh, I was shocked.
It was dynamic.
I just couldn't believe what I was reading.
But what he was saying in there was about, you know when I mentioned it about how he was comparing the human mind, when we look at, you know why they call it Windows, some people, they say that psychologically they created the Windows program based upon the psychological look of how pilots see things in a cockpit.
Right.
So when you look at the psychological effects, so now here it is, you're looking at the Windows and its technology, you're looking at, that's just one software program. We're talking about the computer itself now. We're going to move away from Windows because you have other forms of programming outside of Microsoft.
Right.
And some of those programs can't be hacked neither. You know, we don't go there right now. But what we're saying is, in that book, he was saying so many things about the importance that the key that draws the distinct line to you becoming successful or not is how you win your competition is based on how thorough you get your information out.
Right.
And this information is that we need to get into some solar panels and photovoltaic systems, and this is what we really need right now. You know.
Energy efficiency.
Yeah. Now, how far have you read in the book?
I've made it about half. Got it the other day.
Oh, you did. Okay. And so, and was there anything that you kept in mind? There was one thing he said. It was like in an italic saying that he has there that really kept with me. And that had something to do with productivity and information.
Oh yeah. The more information leads to higher productivity.
Right.
Information is something, basically in this country, we're kind of fighting a war ourselves, and it's an information war.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get the information out there. People need to learn about, the information, because without it, we're just kind of a bunch of sitting ducks.
And then he was mentioning that in the old type of day, back in the old time, back in the old day, what they would do was that they would, see people are calling in. That's why you're hearing those sounds. And but I'm not going to stop. See, well, I may have to, because it makes a disturbing sound. But the main thing is that when we look at productivity, when we want to be competitive, it is better that we try to quickly get this information out about the technology and see its application put in real time.
Right.
You see, this is why we are challenging the investor now to come and step up to the plate and start investing in alternative energy technologies.
Right.
Now, if you can't afford the $5,000 to $10,000 or anything like that, look at these incandescent light bulbs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anybody can afford compact fluorescent. One light bulb will actually make a difference.
Right.
If everybody did it, it would make a huge difference.
A big difference.
Between light bulbs, replace those old refrigerators that are 10, 15, 20 years old that are using 4,000 watt hours a day. Replace them with a new refrigerator that's going to use 900 watt hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge, huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Replace your old washer that's using 60 gallons of water to wash clothes when you could be using a new one that's using 13 gallons of water.
Mm-hmm.
That's 13 gallons of water that needs to be heated up instead of 60. Imagine the energy savings there.
Mm-hmm.
Dishwashers. Most of us have old dishwashers that are using 30 to 40 gallons of water.
Mm-hmm.
Today's energy-efficient dishwashers use 2.5 gallons of water and wash just as well as the 30 or 40 gallon unit.
And won't waste as much material either.
Use less soap. You'll use less energy.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start moving towards a sustainable lifestyle.
I like that. And when you say that sustainable lifestyle,
and it's not that much different than where we're at now. It's just a matter of replacing some appliances, making a small investment into our homes and businesses. We can do it without affecting our quality of life. If anything, doing it will increase our quality of life because every cent that we save is money that we can spend on something else.
Right. Well, I'm convinced, and I think that other people will be too, whether they like it or not. And I challenge the investor to come back to the table because we have many projects that are sitting on our table for infrastructure purposes, for example, for municipalities on a larger scale. When you look at half of the municipalities of the cities, their cost is in public lighting. You see, and we can go in, like, for example, the school systems across the board to change those lightings inside. In addition to that, to provide solar outdoor lighting that can light up a whole entire recreation park.
Absolutely. Or solar-powered street lights.
Yeah, solar-powered street lights, you see.
Or even new lighting technologies like white LEDs.
Right.
We now have white LED street lights that use about 80% less energy than a typical high-pressure sodium street light.
Right.
All these things will make such a dramatic difference.
Mm-hmm. It's so important right now that we begin to get involved, and I think that if you have any questions, again, you're welcome to give us a call here at 1-866-465-2004. Again, you're welcome to call in anytime at 1-866. We're going to talk about it in the near future, and I'm going to try to outline some more little things as well. But we're dealing with the municipalities and stuff. If you are looking at if you got a flat roof or something like that, it's an ideal location to put solar panels on. If you're looking at your heating costs, there's solar heat that we could be able to. Matter of fact, I think you get more buck for the bang for dealing with solar heat than anything else.
There's solar hot air collectors that heat up the air and blow the heated air into the building, or even some of today's solar hot water collectors tied into your existing heating.
We would like to also add, this is Brother Wisdom to See, Dr. Wisdom to See Muhammad. I would like to add to this that our new number is 618-447-5004. Again, it's 618-447-5004. Or you can email me at Solar Energy Consultant. Again, Solar Energy Consultant at gmail.com. Again, Solar Energy Consultant at gmail.com. And you can also go to our site at solarwindpower.biz. That's B-I-Z. Solarwindpower.biz. That's B-I-Z. And you can be able to get all the information and pertinent information. And we are here dedicated to help assist you on your next solar project, so that you can be energy free and experience true energy independence. I look forward to hearing from you. I say stay focused. We have to prepare ourselves for natural disasters and power outages. And what we are hearing about what is going on in California right now with the wildfires, as well as in Canada, it would be so much helpful that when they have to put back that infrastructure, you're looking at $1 trillion or more dollars. It's got to come up with ways of being able to replace and upgrade this infrastructure. And it's so critical that you become a part of it. We'll go in more into detail about this and into a new paradigm shift of thinking. And what I mean by that is that when we own the power, the energy, energy can have more value than any currency in the world, or any gold, or possibly any gold or silver, depending upon how important or how urgent that you may need the electrical power that you need to maintain a quality of living. With that, we're going to return you back to this broadcast, and at the same time, we're about ready to wrap up. I know it's getting ready to wrap up, but remember again, our number is 618-447-5004. Again, 618-447-5004. My email is solarenergyconsultant@gmail.com. Solar, SOLAR, energy, ENERGY, consultant, CONSULTANT. I look forward to hearing from you, and we are here to uplift our community. Let our green movement become our own anti-poverty program. And this is what this is about. We'll have more things to go into details about the changes in the economy. But what we also look at is how we can hinge to protect ourselves from the rising cost of energy. Thank you very much.
System which can drop your heating expenses by 50 to 75%.
And it's and the cost is very good. I mean, I think from what I observed, the pricing is not that bad.
No, it's about if you're looking at a hot water collection system to back up your let's say your oil burner, you'd be looking at an approximate cost of if you had to replace the oil burner. And of course, since you're supplementing that oil burner, the oil burner that you have will last a lot longer because it's only being used at maybe 50% of its capacity.
I've got a lady that lives out in the country, and she said that the price of the oil went up so high that they're really seriously looking at the solar heat and dealing with going with an ecological approach in your utility costs.
Well, again, the way I look at it is that if you don't do something to lower your energy usage or to produce at least some of your own energy,
you're going to suffer from hyperventilation.
and you're going to be rendered powerless. There will be absolutely nothing that you'll be able to do about those rising energy costs.
Mm-hmm.
You make that investment now into either solar system, wind system, or it's a form of empowerment. You're empowering yourself to do something about it so that you don't have to just sit by and watch your electric costs skyrocket. You can take some control of the situation.
Right. Well, you know, I tell you, we have really, I believe that right now you did it again. And we really enjoyed it. I am myself, I'm going to just say on behalf of my organization and everything, and we greatly appreciate your time. And just to be able to, and please, we don't want you to be a stranger. We're going to have you back again. And I'm just looking forward to hearing some of the great responses from the people that's calling in. Because right now, this phone has been really jumping off the hook right now. Yeah. And so what I wanted to say again before we close out, I just wanted to make mention, will you please again just give them your name and your number again. I'm talking about the name of the company and the email, not the email, yeah.
The web address.
Yeah, yes.
Sure, yeah. We Technologies. Our website is www.cetsolar.com, and our phone number is 518-287-1428. If you have any questions on energy efficiency or producing your own electricity, feel free to give us a call, check out our website, and we'd be happy to help.
Okay, and well, that's a wrap-up right there, and I just wanted to say again that we were greatly honored to have you here, and we look forward to hearing from you again. I'm your host, Wilson T.C. You're welcome to call in anytime at 1-866-465-2004. What we're going to do is I'm going to close out for a minute. I want you to still stand by, okay? And I'm just going to play this little music while I talk to you on the phone, okay? Okay, stand by. All right, again, you can, I'm your host, Wilson T.C. here at www.Talk Black Live Internet Radio Station. The radio station, Talk Black Live, is dedicated to the sole purpose of educating you, the listening audience, about alternative energy, economic, and community development. And we'll be right back to the minute, but we're going to leave a little bit of music here. And matter of fact, I'm going to try to find something else a little different for you. And you'll be able to enjoy. And we'll be right back. May God bless. We'll be right back. And right now, just remember, call in at 1-866-465-2004. Again, call in anytime at 1-866-465-2004. I'm your host, Wilson T.C. Okay, just stand by for 1 minute, please. Okay. Remember, call in at 1-866-465-2004. Again, call in anytime at 1-866-465-2004. I'm your host, Wilson T.C.
Well, I want to make sure that we're going to make that correction, because this is now 2019. Since this is one of our old previous programs, we have changed. Our number is actually 618-447-5004. Again, 618-447-5004. Those of you who would like to support our programming and like this type of information that was very helpful to help hinge us against any economic swings in regards to rising energy costs, and as well, we feel that our let's put it this way, our green movement is based upon a sustainable community model that will be our anti-poverty program. We invite you to join us in this fight against poverty, wherever it's found around the world. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Wisdom Tusi, Brother Dr. Dawood Muhammad. I'm very honored again to have you here. And again, you can call me at 618-447-5004. Again, 618-447-5004. Remember, the life you save may be your own. What are we going to do with the lights when the lights go out? Thank you, and we're going to go back to this program. And again, you can email me at solarenergyconsultant@gmail.com, and I do have a second email, which is wisdom2c. That's wisdom, the number 2, C spelled SEE, wisdom2c @yahoo.com. Thank you.
Okay, just stay about 1 minute. Okay.
This is by Howard Neal in a wonderful musical jazz piece called Journey to Dreamland. I am so greatly honored again as I first want to extend the greetings of peace of Assalamu Alaikum to all of those who are listening to this program. We do have new programs that we're going to be talking about. A lot of the material that we discussed in the past is actually the groundwork for the new material that we're going to be discussing in this new year coming, year 2020. But this has been advanced into even a more serious matter based upon a concept of a new economic system model based upon energy, alternative energy, and renewable energy. But here, what we're looking at, this becoming an anti-poverty program. Because as the rising cost of energy impact every sector within the economic market sector, we have to come up with solutions that we can be able to protect ourselves from the recessionary forces that are impacting our neighborhoods, our communities, and everything that's surrounding us by going with a sustainable community model, block by block, street by street, city by city. I am your host, Dr. Wisdom Tusi, and it's a great honor. It was a lot of fun, and we look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, and if you'd like to show your support toward this direction, you're welcome to do so. My number is 618-447-5004. Again, 618-447-5004. Or you can email me at solarenergyconsultant@gmail.com. Again, solarenergyconsultant@gmail.com. That's singular, not plural. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Look forward to the next broadcast and next program. We know that you will enjoy. Thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum. And also to the believers, happy Ramadan Mubarak. As we get ready to round up through the night of power, we're wrapping up for Ramadan. As I leave you all in the nation's greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Happy Ramadan Mubarak. And may Allah continue to bless our efforts, believers, with great success and prosperity. May we receive the rewards of the believers. Ameen. Allahu Akbar.